Hello, people of planet Earth. Welcome to the Nurture Pod. My name is Iris Sullivan Dare, and I'm here with the gorgeous Ginger Edwards on
Gorgeous.
this beautiful June day. And this is the place where we explore that kind of the intersection of the Venn diagram between the cold, hard reality of the world as it is and the totally possible world of possibilities that we can co-create together.
Nice. Nice one. Like it. We're out of the estuary and into the Venn diagram. Beautiful. Hi, Iris.
Hi. Oh my God, I love
It's
seeing your face.
Gemini season. Let's go.
It is Gemini season.
What are you nurturing in your little Gemini's body?
Well, it was my birthday last week. Did we talk last
Happy
week?
birthday.
Did
We
we talk
did.
last week? We
We
did.
talked.
Okay. So
Yeah. It was
we already talked about
pre-birthday. Uh-huh.
but my friend took me out for a birthday lunch, even though it was, a couple weeks ago or whatever it was. But I actually, this week, I found out that one of my coworkers has the same birthday. We were born on the same day.
Oh, cool.
And isn't that funny? Like we're
Yeah.
together for a year. What am I nurturing? I am on that little tipping point because the school year is ending. So my three-ring
Mm.
circus of my jobs with three different nonprofits and all the many, 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 many little children is gonna pause until next school year. And I I just feel like I'm like I really haven't been doing much art at all. I mean, like for myself since
Mm.
my show. So that's like since November. And I just feel like my brain is like, ready, let's go. Like I'm like,
Nice.
so I'm really nurturing my creativity and flipping over to I mean, I have some adult classes and I have stuff this summer for sure, but um a little more ease
Mm.
in my internal game. It's all about the internal game.
Mm.
I mean, it
Hmm.
just took me months to realize how much this work kicks my ass because there's so much emotional processing I need to do in order to keep doing it. And now I've accepted that it kicks my ass, but it's totally worth doing. But I'm like, that means I need to be really fierce about holding space for my own creative practice this summer.
Yeah.
And I think if I can go into the school year with an intact studio instead of like having a blown apart studio, which is what started, because I had that giant show and blah blah blah. Anyway, that's where that's anyway. I just like like
Yeah, that's
I'm
good though. I mean, the fact that you're not exhausted and you're actually excited to make art shows that you've been nurturing.
I have. Yeah. No, yeah. Like, it's the kind of thing of like I have this like list of things I think I'm gonna do over the weekend, and then all I do is take like three naps. But
I can relate to that.
but
Yep.
it's like, all right, and it's like at a certain point you have to realize the body wins. The body gets
Always.
the body knows. The body's smarter than I ever will be because apparently
Yep.
I think that there is no limitations.
Yeah.
Which is completely insane. So
Yes.
blah blah blah. How are you?
Mm. You mean what am I nurturing?
Yes, yes, yes. Actually, how are you is kind of a let me start that over. Ginger,
Yes.
what are you taking care of and nurturing in your life right now?
Well, I'm glad you asked. Let's see. I have been obsessing over backpacks. I'm like,
Oh,
I am getting closer to this giant, ridiculous spiritual pilgrimage that I'm about to embark on for an unknown amount of time to an unknown amount of destinations. And it's starting to become really real. I have a buyer for my property. It's like it's happening, like this dream, this weird, crazy vision I had is starting to actually like gel into like
yeah.
reality. And I think June is the month where it's really gonna happen. It's like so I have dawned on me that I better get a backpack and I better start figuring this out. Like, cause I up until this point, it's all been limbo. Like I'm like,
Yeah.
oh well, my buyer had to sell something to buy, which I was cool with. because I like the idea that, it's not just a bunch of millionaires running around buying up property. Like, he was like a real person. Like, I have to sell something to buy yours. And I was like, yeah, that's good. Normal. I'm willing to wait. He was a cool person. And yet it does put you in this, like, but anything could happen in the middle of that, so
Yeah.
there was May was kind of a tense month of me being like, oh, I hope I'm trusting the process. That's been my mantra. Trust the process. And so so lately I've been like, okay, the process is processing. I need to actually get my, rear in.
Not, oh, well, which is totally like you were totally in this kind of like big
Yeah.
open, anything could happen. That's a very
Yeah.
different thing than this is happening. And now I
Yeah,
need a
yeah. Anything can
backpack that
happen.
I
Now it
like.
seems to be forming a point of like, okay, I think I know what's happening. It's not completely done yet, but like it does look like that's what's happening. So yeah, so the reality is setting in of like, oh, like I've got a lot to figure out, take care of. And then you already like one step on the path, like you're kind of, now I'm in this other process. And as you know, we had a really amazing event here
That was really,
as a send off, which wasn't even intended to be a send off. It was just kind of like this. Anyway, there's this whole crazy cool serendipity that happened around me finding out that he had sold his house. And that was a Saturday. And then on a Sunday, we had planned this kind of sound healing event, which turned into this like all day ritual ceremony to say goodbye to the land and like send me off. So I also feel like it was super magical, but I also feel like I got launched a little bit. Now I'm like, okay, this is happening in like a magical way too. Like there was a lot of like ritual closure around, and I didn't even really intend for that to happen either. It was kind of didn't really know that was going to happen. And all of a sudden it just gelled again. And we had already planned for this event because we had met these sound healers and they were cool. And I was like, yeah, well, you should come out before I sell, thinking, I don't know, I might be here all summer. I really don't know, but to have
yeah.
them be like the actual day after I find out that it's sold for real. So
And that was very magical.
yeah, you were
Like
here.
talk about magic is real. Like every time, like she sang, and then there was instrumental stuff, and then she would sing, and there'd be instrumental stuff, and every freaking time she sang, the birds like just like turned up. Like
I
I've never heard
know.
the birds at your place like that.
No, it was a really impressively beautiful event, and I'll link to them on the notes of this podcast. They're called Firebird, and man, they play in Portland. If you get a chance to see them, they are fantastic. They're like a band who also does sound healing like within their music, but they write all these pieces. And we had acupuncture needles. Her partner's an acupuncturist, so they put needles in us, and we're just like we're laying on the lawn, and there was all these songs being sung, and one of them
And
was
it was
called
like,
Ginger Song.
uh,
And it was about traveling and the road unknown, ahead. And they had written it like 2 days before. They said it just came through to them, and I had only met them once. And yeah, and then there was a cacao ceremony
oh my
that
God.
again, I thought we were just gonna drink some cacao. I didn't really, and then all of a sudden all this despacho, like Peruvian kind of altar magic, started. She had spent all this time in South America, and she pulled out all this cool stuff, and we were all like making this beautiful altar together. And then she tied it into a bundle, and then we buried it on the land, and it had a little tiny doll and it looked, and she's like, this is Ginger. And I was like, oh my gosh, I was in the middle of the bundle. It was so cool. And I had not expected any of that ritual to take place, but it was so neat because my first destination, of course, is Peru, that I'm going on when I leave the country. So it was the first kind of altar ritual of that tradition that I have done. But it happened on my property, and I didn't even ask. I mean, I didn't really know that was going to go down.
No,
So
yeah, yeah.
yeah, so it was really, really neat. And then there was a DJ. He was like incredibly good. He left before that, but he was like insanely good. And he was only going to play for a couple hours. He ended up playing for more than 3 hours. Everybody was dancing. People who don't even dance were dancing. And we danced
Oh,
like all the way till dark. And just as it was getting dark, it started to rain because the rain had been like kind of like
yeah.
in the background the whole day, but it didn't do anything. Anyway, it was very magical and very powerful. And so now I am feeling like I'm in a different place energetically with this whole process. And yeah, that was just last weekend. So I've been like seriously getting
I feel like it was 3 weeks ago.
I know, it just happened. But one of the things I've been noticing about this process is that time is really interesting. Like it speeds up and then slows down. And like that day felt like it took, like, it was so liminal. It was like hours and hours were going by, but it didn't, I wasn't tired. And I was like,
Yeah.
all this stuff was happening. We had been at it all day, a sauna and all this stuff, all the way to like 11 o'clock at
Food.
night, food and people. And it was just like, I feel like it's a couple hours have gone by, but it was like all this stuff. And then the time around here has been really interesting, like folding on top of itself. Just, I don't know if I'm making any sense at all. I'm just in an interesting place in my life. I guess I am nurturing the magic of what you do when you go into these processes of trust. I've been listening a lot to people, talk
Yeah.
about this, because I'm like, I need to hear people talk about it. And it's like a whole, it's a spiritual pilgrimage, I guess. Like I was trying to think of what I'm doing.
Yeah.
And the idea that you're kind of a stranger in a strange land, that's kind of the pilgrim, and not the pilgrim like, Thanksgiving pilgrim, but like the
Yeah.
pilgrim of the traveler. And then with a spiritual like intention, like going to, for a spiritual intention, to spiritual places. And that's what I'm doing, right? Because I'm visiting these earth chakras. But nowhere in the culture, I realize, again, like we always bump up against nurture culture versus this culture. It's just really absent. Like the spiritual
Yes.
pilgrim, like nobody does that in our culture. Like, where is that? So you have to, I'm kind of creating this whole,
Do
I
you
don't
know
know.
about the Peace Pilgrim?
Oh, you know what? I do know about the peace pilgrim, but remind me, because I
She
know
just
her.
felt called and then she just took off with like an
Yeah.
apron and like
How do
and
I
just
know
started
her?
walking. We have the book somewhere.
Yeah, I think is it
I
possible that
feel
I
like
could have met her?
it's possible that we met her.
Yeah.
I think she came
I'm
there.
like, how is that so familiar? You know what? Actually, I think it was in Kalamazoo, Michigan, that I think I may have met her, because I was a part of something called the World Peace Center in Kalamazoo, and I think she may have come there. That seems really true to me, but that was a long time ago. This is like going back into
I
my
feel like
20s.
I almost feel like
I know
it
I
was
had her book.
my I think it
I think
is
I met her.
cool.
Anyway,
Anyway,
yes,
but also
yes, you're right.
just
There
wait,
was a
but
peace
here,
pilgrim.
I've got the rainbow
You have
actually
rainbow
going
head, yes.
crazy. I don't know how to do it. I don't know why. It's so the here I'll try to there you go. You can see my messy.
For those of you on YouTube can see that Iris is covered with a beautiful rainbow
Oh my God, I'm
coming from
totally
like the
like
cosmic
the
other
cosmic rainbow
worlds.
orb.
Yeah, there's a
Um,
dimension like split right in front of you. It's kind of cool. We'll just go with it.
okay, we're just gonna go with it. So my name does mean rainbow after all.
Ah,
I was thinking as you were talking about how it seems so you have been holding sacred space where you are like that. I feel like that there was been so much intention for the land and like just like how magical that thing was because it was as much about the land as it was about you and this
oh
like
yes.
such a like spontaneous really deep gorgeous way. And I was just as you were talking I just had this like flash about like just the deep grief that you've processed there
Mm.
specific to like when they did all that logging, all that
Oh, that was really
time
hard. Yeah.
logging and
Yeah.
like you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
I feel like that going to these old places,
Mm.
I don't know. I just feel like somehow that's connected.
Mm.
It does
Yeah.
feel like a it's like it just I don't know, it feels like connected to like just like being in service to Mother Earth in this really
Yeah.
beautiful way.
Yeah. It's in service. And it's also interesting because I've been trying to kind of find language for it. Because like I said, it's not really in the culture so much given to us. So it's something you have to kind of create. I mean, and I was listening to Brianna Wiest, who I really like. She wrote a book called The Mountain Is You. Really excellent book. Out if anybody's looking for a good like kind of coaching spiritual book, it's amazing. One of the best I've read, and I'll link that in the notes too. But she's little podcast. I think she doesn't do it anymore, but she's recorded several pieces kind of from that book, made a little podcast out of it. So sometimes when I'm walking my dog, I listen to it. And just today I heard one, and she kind of started talking about this place where your heart knows where it's going, but the brain hasn't caught up, or the brain is like, they're disconnected, right? The brain's like coming up with all the reasons why you shouldn't do this, and the
Mhm.
heart's still like, but that's what I want. The body's still saying yes, yes, yes. And I did kind of go through that a little bit with this place, especially with my dog and all kinds of things. It's like, oh, I can't, I can't let this go. And I know I'm on the other side of that now, because now I'm like in it. Now I'm actually in the, like, basically on the path. We're going to Shasta, which is the first chakra for summer solstice. So I am very close to actually starting this journey. And then I'll come back here, but like that's going to be like the first time I actually go sit with these energies, and I'm sure I'll get some messages about the whole
Yeah,
thing. So
it's
I'll
gonna be like
report
a
back.
being on a
I will
treasure
report
hunt,
back.
right? Like a scavenger hunt. You're
It
like
is
a
a little bit like
global
that. Yeah, it
global
is like a
scavenger hunt.
spiritual scavenger hunt. Like you go out and you're like, okay, here I am. What's the message? But so I'm getting really close, and so I think there's like kind of this buildup of like, all right, well, what is coming through. And so it was interesting when you get to those places in your life where your heart is wanting to do something, or your kind of your spirit knows it wants something, but there's no clear like model for it. And
Mhm.
it's like I guess it's like that's when you have to create it. Like it's not there yet. It doesn't exist. So
Mhm.
this is now something for you to bring into being, a new way, a new path. And I do feel like that's the process I'm in, because I don't see it out there. Whatever I'm doing is kind of like, I don't know. But it's cool. A part of like the creative process to be like, okay, well, I guess I'm going to create this thing that I feel coming through me. Right. And then I wrote down like 5 questions you should ask yourself
Oh,
when you are thinking about embarking on maybe a pilgrimage or a quest that your heart wants, that your brain is maybe struggling with, or lagging behind, or coming up with lots of reasons why you shouldn't. And I thought it was a really good 5 questions, so I thought maybe we'd spend some time playing around with that.
ideal.
And as I listened to it, I dropped my situation onto it, and it fit like really perfectly. So um question number 1: would I become a better person for having done this? And I want to clarify that this is not about like, would the culture recognize me as a better person? You know what I mean? So like the ego is like, oh, I want to have this big soul purpose or thing I do in my life, so I get all the rewards from the culture, right? Like I get the money or the acclaim, or people think I'm cool or smart or whatever, right? And that is actually not what this question is about. It's about like, would you yourself, like, would I think I'm a better person? Like when I'm dying, would I look back and say, oh, I was better for having done that? Not because it looked better to other people, but because it's better for me. Like it was better for my growth. And it also means like the person I have to become to do this is
Uh,
like something I want for me, not for other people, not for the acclaim, but it's like, this is my desire. This is the thing I want for myself. Like this is the person I want to be. And I've got to be, to do this, I'm going to have to be that person, because it's going to
mhm.
require that of me.
Yeah.
Yeah. So when I think about that, in my instance, I'm like, oh, that's a total check. Yeah. Right. Because I'm like,
Yeah.
to solo travel around the world with a backpack, and like not know anybody or any, just really get myself out there into this complete unknown with not even a clear plan. Um, and it seems like maybe that would be better for me, but in a way it's better for like, it doesn't make me like, there's nothing I'm going for. Like I'm not going to do like this thing and then coming back with my little prize. It's like I'm just going because I think the journey itself is gonna, yeah, push me like and grow me in ways that I would not be pushed and grown where I'm at. And where I'm at is really nice. So this is the challenge of the culture. It's like, I am fine. Like I'm good. Like where I'm at, I'm comfortable. I have community. I have my dog. I've got my beautiful land. I've got, I have plenty of purpose here. All of that. So it's interesting to me like that. But there's just my heart. That's my mind, right? My mind's like, you've got everything you want. Like, why would you ever go? The culture certainly would be like, why, you know,
What are you
what
doing?
are you doing? Like, you crazy person in your 50s, like taking off with a backpack when you don't know anything. but my heart is like, I will like myself better. Like, I want to be the person who can do this. I don't, I, that's for me. Like, so when I'm at the other end of whatever this is, this journey, I'm going to be like, yeah, I think that I became the person that could do a journey like that. And I don't know now. I'm just like sitting at home thinking about it. So I'm not that person yet, but it will make me that person. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, I feel like travel in general is so transformative. But
Mm-hmm.
I have never really, I mean, I guess when I moved out west, I had this big openness, like like, but I feel like travel in general, I think is good for the for your for it has been very good for me and changing for me. But I've always had it be like I've always had a round trip ticket.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like this is like almost like a click up of like I am headed into the unknown. It's very I don't know, Star Trek. Like you're it's different. It's not it's like I think it's quantitatively different.
It is. I mean, and that's kind of where I'm like, I have to get really spiritual about it because it is actually it is like in the Eastern traditions. I think there's a lot more words for this, like the path is the way kind of, that's coming through like Buddhism and like Eastern tradition a lot more than it is in the West. But like, it's not about even a destination of where you're going. Like walking the path is life. Like life is the verb, like the path is the way. There is no, I mean, and the person you become by walking, that's that's what you're here to do. There's like, and so I think in the West, it's like a lot of there's like a destination we're trying to get to, and then we claim that thing and we've got it and we won and look at me, we put our flag in the ground and this is mine and you know look at me, I'm one, I've got territory, the game Monopoly, all of it, you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
capitalism, it's like we want to own this stuff. And this is very nomadic and like I don't own anything, but my own self. Like the only
Mhm.
thing I have jurisdiction over is this. And this is
Yes.
what I'm moving through the world to grow and develop this. And I do that by moving through it. Like I'm not doing it to get things. Matter of fact, I want to be really light. That's the other thing that's really interesting right now. Like my desire to be extremely light. Like I'm not gonna check luggage on this trip. So I've decided I'm just gonna go with a carry-on.
Wow.
Right. So like I am like the backpacks I am currently experimenting with are carry-ons. They're very small. And it is a fascinating process to
Well, because
like
I feel
try to
like
pack your life into a carry-on.
because like when we did the big bike trip, which was a million years ago now, you like think about what you're gonna bring, and then it's like, oh yeah, no, you gotta cut it in half. And then it's like then you cut it in half again.
Yeah.
But it's like a bike, you can carry more.
Yeah, you can
Like
actually.
this is like cut in half again to be able to
Hmm.
like and yeah, I feel like what you need is like two wool shirts, like wool t-shirts, a long sleeve and a short sleeve. You need
Right.
yeah, like it's gotta
Trust me, I've made this list. I've got
oh
like
my
all the
God.
yeah, and I keep like just like you said, I keep taking things out and being like, this pair of pants or it's crazy. It's kind of fun though to see how light you can get. Like,
Yeah.
and I've put the pack on and stood with it and I'm like, this is everything. This is it. This is
Ah,
crazy. Like this is all I'm taking. And I could probably take stuff out of here. Like. It's wild. But I do think that first question is really key. So, the first
oh,
question,
I
and
love that.
everybody at home play along. Would I become a better person for having done this for myself? Again, not a better person in the eyes of others, but like for me. Would I like myself better? Would I, at the end of my days, think this made me better? Um, and I think yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so. I don't think I'll regret it. And I'm sure we all have things that we've done in hindsight that we can be like, yeah, even though that was really hard, that I'm glad I did it, right?
Oh yeah, totally.
Yeah.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
And I think like you just better yeah, like yeah. Just like yeah, yeah. And I feel like in a way it's it's the doing it despite the fact that it's not a sure thing. Like I think that there is a huge, it's like this could utterly be a disaster. And it's
Yeah.
doing.
Yep.
That is that's a really a good I don't know. I feel like like somebody I was talking to this woman who was at the very end of her life. This is some years ago. And she was talking about like during that process, like she was this, she was very close to the end, like, weeks and knew it, like she was, and just like feeling into that being present to her to everything and um and just like she was like I'm just opening myself to love to
Mm,
everything. I'm just opening just every day. I'm trying to embody love
mm.
in every way I can while I'm here.
It's beautiful.
And I don't know. I don't know.
I
That was
love that. Yeah, because I'm taking kind of like an epic, like I'm physically journeying, but I do think like that, what she just said, like that is something that is very powerful. That doesn't need to have it's not about traveling. It's just about deciding, would I be a better person for it if I every day I practice opening myself up to love. Of course you would. Like if that, and it would I be a better person if I like, spent time, I don't know, just
well, and also like
meditating or cooking or being a better, like, or showing up for my friends. Like I said, this is like I want to take it away from me a little bit and just expand it, that they're not about the ego, which looks, again, it's not about like going out and doing something amazing for accolade. It's like really like, what is my heart? Because this is the heart talking, you
yes.
know, what is important to my heart, and every heart's going to look different, and it's going to change over time too in your own life. Like what's calling now, and I mean, I say like the culture doesn't value, the spiritual pilgrimage, but it also doesn't value so many of those things too. Like it doesn't count or value people who are like, my quest is to open
Well,
myself up to love. But that's like probably the most important thing. I mean, like the end of her life, that's like what came down to the most important thing to do.
well, and also like I feel like that part of that conversation, just like it was the difference between cure and heal,
Yeah.
right? Because if you have a terminal illness, there's this our society frames that as that they lost their battle to cancer, right? Like
Right.
how often have you heard that? Or they lost their battle to whatever their
Right.
disease
Yep.
is. Instead of like she was saying she was feeling like changed like constant like she's like I feel like I'm on this changing every minute,
Mm,
like I'm healing. And I just feel like
mm,
that dying is a form of healing. I'm not saying that
wow.
you're dying, but like like the healing is possible at every moment.
Yeah, it's transformation. I mean, she was
Transformation.
transforming,
She was transforming, and then
and
like
that's very, I mean, and parts of her probably were healing her, like falling back into love and the present moment, and that's very powerful work. And it can totally, maybe it can only
and I think it
happen
was
in this
healing. She
moment.
was just glowing. I feel like she was like
Yeah.
I was, like she was at this gather. I just felt like she was healing all of us,
Yeah.
And
Yep.
it's like, and what is that? That is like surrendering to the heart, which
Yeah.
it's like what happens when we surrender to the heart? And I think it doesn't have to be, it's like it's so uncomfortable in our society. We can
Yes.
kind of accept it when it's at the end of someone's life, but it's hard for us to we don't want to acknowledge what does that mean,
Yeah.
Like did we talk about Tully's graduation and like Berea College is like their like commitment. They just talked a ton about this core ethic of impartial love
Nice.
and just like what does that specifically mean and how do we embody it, and as graduates going out into the world, how do you bring that
Mm,
commitment to impartial love out with you as you go out into the world?
That's beautiful. Nice.
And
Yeah.
it was very moving. And so it's like, it's like, I just feel like you are on this precipice of just like all these, and it's, I don't know, it's gorgeous. I feel like it's really healing to be able to be sharing it with you because especially in this time in which society is trying to like crush us
Yeah, there is something there.
actively.
Yes, there is something. It feels, and I've kind of, um, well, here, the second one, right?
Good, 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 good.
Number two. I'm going to try to stay on my list here.
Yeah, thank you.
For those of you following along at home. Number two, does it give me a yes feeling? And does
Yeah.
that feeling grow over time? Like, does it consistently give you a yes? Not just like for 1 minute, be like, oh, I want to do that. But like every time you check in with it, it's like, yeah, the body is yes, it's expansive feeling. And I don't know about you, but I have kind of like an internal yes, no with my body that I kind of check in with. Like, yeah, no feels a little constricted. Yes feels pretty like open. My shoulders go back. I kind of lean forward a little bit. And a year ago, we're coming up right up to this Sagittarius full moon, right? It's this next week. That was the full moon that I got the kind of download that I should sell the land. And so we're almost like at a year, which is, magically a year and a day is a powerful,
Yeah.
like energetic. And I didn't, and at that point I was like, whoa, like I really didn't think that was the thing that was going to come through. But I had just gone to that big eclipse festival. I'd
Oh,
put
yeah, yeah,
myself in
yeah.
Texas, right under the big
Yeah.
total solar eclipse, and it was in Aries, and my Chiron is in Aries, and it was just like aligned. It was like perfectly. So that's like the wound of the wise wound and all this. Anyway, blah blah. I always felt this mystical call to go to Texas, which I've never done before, and go to this huge like electronic music festival. But at the end of this crazy, and it was a crazy festival, there was this incredibly like long total solar eclipse, and it was fully visible, and we were under it, and it was very powerful. And then we came home, and then it took to like the next month for like this message to kind of gel of like it was all this healing, I guess, that was going on. And so when I got it, it was like, because I had been thinking, like, what am I going to do with North Fork? I had just sold the tea company at that time. I mean, I just sold it. So last April was the first month that it wasn't farming full time anymore. It was the first year I wasn't, going into a season of growing crops, and I had for almost, gosh, over a decade of every spring. It was like that's what I'm doing. I'm growing, tea, or I'm growing food, and so it was a huge shift to just not have anything in the ground, like literally, and to see what else was coming up. And I was like, well, what else can I do? And I can do coaching full time. And I'm like, yeah, I could do that. I'll enjoy coaching. I could do this. I could. And then, when travel came up, my body was like, yes, like that was the thing that opened my heart. It was like, I felt like that was the full body, like, oh, there it is. And it was almost like, like I give myself like, well, I can do this. And it was like you trying to click a lighter, like flicking the
Yeah,
lighter, and
yeah,
it was
yeah.
kind of like sparking, but it wasn't. And then when I said, oh, I could just travel, it was like full flame. It was like, there it is.
Oh,
And so the yes was so strong. And after I got the download, I kept being like, well, but I was backtracking. I'm like, I don't know, like maybe in 5 years, like, and every time I'd be like, or it could be like soon, it would be like the flame would like light up again, and it was undeniable. I kept going back to it and asking it in all these different angles because I was kind of resisting it because I have a really, amazing setup here. And I was very much like into it at that moment. And, but yeah, like that was just so true for me. Like every time I checked in, it was like, yes, it was unequivocal, like the body was a yes. And
yeah.
so that's number two. Like if you're wondering like how the heart is responding, like one, will I be a better person for me for having done it? Two, is my body heart giving me like yes feeling over time? Yes, yes, yes. This is it. Stay with it, right?
And don't you feel like that that experience of having like a strong heart yes or a strong body gut yes,
Mm-hmm.
like it is inherently not linear, not, you know,
No,
not left brain, you know,
no. Yeah,
And
because
so, and
traveling
it's
the world
like,
was not on my bingo card. Like that wasn't even in the that wasn't on the list of choices I was even giving
yes,
myself. Like
yes,
I hadn't written that one down. You know what I mean? Like that was like way off
right.
limits. Like I was very much in the box. Like, oh, I could do this with North Fork 53. I could do, this, I could do, and everything was kind of in the box of me living here with my little life.
Yeah,
And when I stepped out of that and been like, what if we scrap this whole life and like go just take off? Then I felt there it was. And I have to admit, once I felt that, everything in comparison I could tell was a flicker. It wasn't like the full
yeah,
flame. So I had to, and it was that full moon Sagittarius last year when that came. It was like, because the Sages love to travel. It was like, what about just really getting out there? Like just doing something like just go nomadic, man. Just like backpacking a passport. And I was like, oh, damn, that sounds amazing. As a matter of fact, it was my friend Kelly, our friend Kelly, who we were driving back from that festival and in her car. And she was like, we were talking about what we are going to do. And I think I was talking right then about my 5-year plan, like, oh, I'm going
yeah.
to do this for 5 years and then I'll make a decision. And she said, well, if I don't meet a hot guy in like a year, I'm moving to Lisbon. I was like, and it was so out there
And
that
you're
I
like,
was
wait,
like,
what?
I'm like Spain, or Portugal, and it was like it was, but that I felt it. I felt like, oh, Portugal. Like my body responded and was like, yeah. What about
Oh, you guys are gonna
Portugal?
meet up in
Yeah.
Portugal.
Well, it was just like, what about travel? Like, what about, because she just pushed me out of the box. Because I was
Yeah.
talking about the little thing, our
Yes.
little
Yeah.
lives, and she
Yeah.
sells things and I sell things. And we're like, we're doing our little things and we're talking about our businesses. And then all of a sudden she's like, well, or I could just move to Europe. And I was like, like my body, I felt the yes, like, oh, well, I don't know about you, but that feels good to me. I think you just touched on something that I actually secretly want to do. And I didn't even realize
Nice.
it until she said it.
Nice.
I hadn't been thinking about it.
So great.
It's so cool. So that's where the brain and the body are not aligned. But like, I guess the point is listen to the body, right? Because the body is on point. Like it knows this, and it'll be consistent. Okay, moving on. Number 3.
3. I'm writing them down
You like this? Yeah, I think
on
it's
my
pretty
little
cool.
paper.
Okay. Do you experience serendipity or foreshadowing and synchronicities that like this is you know affirming your vision basically? So like you can see like times in your life when you can look back and you can see all these things that had happened that were like clues on the way, and you like once you get to the place you can look back and be like, oh well, god, there were so many signs that this is where I was supposed to be, or this is the person I was supposed to meet, or but at the time you're just experiencing them one at a time and you don't really know what that's about until you get the thing and you're like, oh right. And
It's
I
the
felt like this is never, I mean, very few times in my life have there been so many synchronicities around this particular experience. Like,
yeah.
I mean, we just talked about that one party that I had, which was
Yes.
very powerful, like layers of synchronicity, people showing up and, just laying the path out for me and blessing it and everything, which people I don't even barely know, it was so cool. But there have been so many like, messages, things coming
You get
through.
do you get I have I have like there's deja vu, but then there's a special kind of deja vu that I've had at really
Mm.
important pivot points in my life where months prior I'll have a weird dream and I'm like, oh, that doesn't make any sense. That was just such a kind of a random dream. And then months later I find myself, I'm like, oh my God, I am in that dream right now. I had one in your
Mm.
kitchen
Yeah, I
years
have.
ago.
Yeah, I'm gonna be really interested to see as I travel if I start having those, because I don't know, right? Because like I
Yeah.
don't know because I'm not in Peru or I'm not in these
Right, right,
places.
right.
But like as I enter them, it'll be really interesting if I'm like, oh, I had a dream about this, because you only remember them when you're in them, like
Right, right, right.
But I have had that, and I'm guessing yes, I would probably have had foreshadowing of all of this. I can't imagine I haven't. Um, but yeah, that is an interesting moment. I don't know what that's about. I don't know how to explain those. Those are really, really interesting. Like I dreamt this or I've done this. Um, and it's not even like deja vu. Like you said, it's like I actually I was in a dream doing this. Like,
And I remember
and I
having it.
remember it. Yeah, exactly. Like all of a sudden, I'm like, oh wait, I've been in this city.
Yes. Yeah.
Um, I actually had that pretty strongly when I went to Edinburgh for the first time back when I was like 20. And I walked through that city and I was like, it was like a past life almost. I'm like, I have been here before. Like, this is so weird. Like like I knew where things were. Like my sense of direction was locked in. Like a city, like if I was in Manzanita, I would know where everything is, just like because I've been there for a long time. And I felt that way in that city, which made no sense because when I was in London, I was completely lost the whole time. I have actually not that great of a sense of direction. And but man, I really like felt orientated there.
General Patton, I read this thing about him. He had this intense knowing. I
Mm,
think when he got to Rome or something, he had like some like super like kind of tweaked his head kind of
yeah.
at that experience and like that, and like, he was not, I mean, I don't know a lot about him, but like I can't imagine that he was a woo-woo master.
No, you don't think of Patton as being moo at all. But I can't see him being a Roman soldier or a general or
Right.
something. I mean, I can see that, like having like, well, that makes sense, right? That's
But
coming right down the line.
but I
But
just, it's
yeah,
like this acknowledgement of the spooky, I think.
yeah,
And so it's like when you're like, yeah, we're surrounded, we are immersed, we're swimming in this magical,
right. What
energetic,
is it? What is
yeah,
foreshadowing? Like, I mean, it's so interesting that there could even be foreshadowing and synchronicities on a thing that you haven't even created yet. Like, haven't
yes,
even gone out on the journey yet. Like, how could there be so much synchronicity? And I think it's fascinating to me because it speaks to like this kind of unified field theory, which I always fall back on,
yes,
that, we're all connected and there's all this consciousness and all. And again, that weird thing about time, like it's already happened in a lot of ways. Like it's already like looping back around. Like now I'm just stepping into a place on the time continuum or whatever, where I don't know, like here I
yeah,
go, but like there's all, like I've already known it. It's really interesting. I was saying Martha Beck was talking about time and how the Greeks thought of time as like chronos, which is like the clock ticking, the moon doing its cycles, like things moving forward. And then they also talked about kairos, which is all the time that happens in these weird like what we're talking about, like all the we realize that there's like overlapping times and like synchronicities and remembering things that happened but it was in a dream, and things that feel like they take a really long time, or days that go by super fast, like how time compresses and stretches. And that
yeah,
they had a
yeah,
word for that that was like their
nice.
own version. And actually then it took all the way to Einstein, but like when Einstein came on the scene, he was like, yeah, that's actually true, like mathematically that's the way time works. It's not this consistent like ticking. It's like it folds in and it's mutable,
What was the word for it? Is
Kairos, which is close to Chiron. So
oh,
Chronos and Kairos. I think that's right. I might be have that not exactly right, but I think that's the idea. That the Greeks thought about it in two different ways, which I thought was really interesting because I think it's true that
yeah,
they're actually, we know that time is progressing, but also there's this other layer, and somehow our bodies, when we get chills, like our bodies respond to like this other stimuli, like this synchronicity.
yes,
Like we are animals that we have a sense of like there's other things going on. So I guess if you're facing like a question in your path, that's what we're talking about in this episode, is like if and we're talking about listening to the heart, like pay attention to all that, like those synchronicities, those like people you bump into, all that stuff.
yes,
And just keep like taking notes, because if they keep happening, it's kind of like a yes, like it's pointing
yeah.
you in a direction, they wouldn't be happening otherwise.
There were
um
so many of those at the bakery. It was just crazy.
yeah,
It was crazy. I mean,
yeah,
it was just crazy. Like, and it wasn't, yeah, like it wasn't like multiple, we were all experiencing like all of these, like, it was just like, whoa, this is not about, this is like, we were being moved around on the chessboard.
yeah. And it's even cooler when you have it with a group, right, and you're all experiencing it.
Hmm.
So that's even more interesting, because now you have like this interconnected experience of synchronicities that from all these different people, like doing something together from their different paths,
Yeah.
even more fascinating. So that brings me to number three.
Nice. No,
No,
that was
number four.
three.
That was
Number
three.
four.
Number four. And here we go. Following all of this, do I have some fear? And if you don't feel any fear, like that's actually like not that great, And I
Yeah.
guess the sweet spot is like 90% sure and 10% fear, 10% terrified. which I like because I that totally describes how I feel right now. I'm like 90% sure and excited and like 10% completely terrified of what I'm doing. And Brianna Wiest was saying that, if you're not like, you can't, like, fear is wrapped up with challenging yourself and experiencing something new and like pushing yourself into new territory. Like, it's got to be there. And if you don't feel any fear at all, you're in a safe, like, you're way too safe. Like, you haven't challenged, you're not really stepping into a path that's challenging you. Like, you're in the zone already. Like, this is just something you're good at. Like, if you're not
Well, and
afraid.
that's like that's the flow state, which I feel like is my favorite state. The flow state is it has to have challenge.
Yeah.
You're like, I can rise to this.
Yes, exactly. So there's a little bit of fear in there, but not enough to be like, paralyzing. It's not like terrifying, but it's like, what I think she said, what I thought was really interesting was that you cannot mistake indifference for fear. Like, those two things are so different. You know what I mean? Like, if you're
Yes.
if you're indifferent to something, you're not afraid of it. Like, absolutely not. So
Which is
if you want it, if you want it, you're going to be a little bit afraid of it because that's got to be there. Is like, it's the desire. It's like if you were going on a date, if you really like this person, right? Like, 90% sure, but 10% afraid because you're making yourself like, I really want this.
oh yeah, no, I was just thinking we're like was joking with Joe because like the day I met him, I just like right after he left, I just started crying.
Really?
I was like, oh no, totally disrupted all my plans. It was just terrible. I'm like, oh,
That's because your path diverged, right? Like, you're like, here
yeah,
we
no, yeah.
go.
I had this, I talk about 5-year plan.
Yeah.
I had it all lined up, and there was just like, oh, freaking monkey wrench, but I haven't regretted it. It's been good.
Yeah. Yeah.
He didn't know that, that that's what I was thinking after he left, but
But there's the
ruined my
intuition, right?
life.
Like, there's the heart. Like, that's a perfect
Yeah.
example of the heart being like, oh, we're doing this now. Like, this
Yeah,
we
he
and you knew
totally
it.
ruined my life. I mean, like I
True
had a life
translation.
all figured out, and
Right. The
that is
brain had a
not,
life figured out. The brain had a
yeah, my
plan,
brain
and the
had my
heart
life
was
all
like,
figured out, and it was
yeah,
total monkey wrench.
that's right.
Best
That's right.
possible way.
In the best possible way, right? Exactly. So, like, that's the path is the way. You know what I mean? Like, the obstacle is the purpose. Like, we're there for the obstacles. Like, we're there to, this is what makes life interesting. If we're not afraid of it, like, we're bored. I mean, I love that you can't mistake fear for indifference, because really, like, if you're indifferent to something, yeah, there's just like, whatever, I don't even think about it. It's not even a big deal. So if there's fear in there, it's got juice. And so you're looking for that. So that's not a no. It's a yes.
Fear is juice. That's good because I'm like such a scaredy cat. I really have to like I'm and yeah, I'm often
I
realizing
don't
like,
think of you as a scaredy cat at all. That's really funny. I definitely do not. Like, you are definitely one of those people I am not in the scaredy cat category for me. So it's interesting that you say that, because you're totally willing to be like, I'm going to put up a huge show with all my art. I'm going to do this. I'm going to take this job as sick. Like, you're always putting yourself out there. So it's interesting to me that you have that perception of
I
yourself.
can't drive on freeways. That's pretty scary.
Oh, okay. Well, I mean, like, maybe one area you're a little scared of driving on freeways, but like, I don't think that makes you a scaredy cat at all. And like I said, everybody's got their own palette
Their
of,
own kryptonite.
yeah, exactly. There's not like one, like, I'm scared of small spaces. It scares me. Okay, five.
Number
Number
5.
five. Number 5.
And I got
Uh,
room.
the last one. What do the people who love me most think about this? Do they agree this is good for me? And I think this is really powerful because she's making it clear, like, it's not the culture, right? Like, we're not looking for the cultural approval. It's like the people who really love you, like, who have your back, who know you. Do they think this is a good thing? And I think this is something I instinctually went out and did, like, immediately when I had this idea. Like, I went to my elders in my community, like, people who I really trust, people who know me, and was like, I have this crazy kind of vision coming to me. What do you think? Like, and to a person, every single one of them said do it. And I was actually really surprised, because I have a lot. kind of like, well, I'm a part of the community. Like, you're just like, I'm like, should
Yeah.
I go and disappear into the world? They're all like, yes, you should definitely do that. And it was like, we'll miss you. And like, we believe it, we love you here in the community, but like for you, you know what I mean? This is a good, like, you go get it because this is obviously something that you're
Yeah.
wanting and needing to do. And like, it's calling to you. There's like something out there calling to you. You've got to go. And especially talking to
Yeah.
like older people, they're like, from life experience, right? These people are in their 80s. They're like, yeah, like don't pass those calls by. Like go follow that call because there's
Right.
something out there for you. And I needed many, many people to tell me that. Like I was kind of like, talk about so I did number 5. I was like, what do other people, is this just me being crazy? Because part of me, is always worried. It's just like, oh, I'm getting sick. I'm getting bored or restless. I'm just going to create an idea of like, I didn't want to be running away from something. I didn't want to be
Yes,
like, I
yes,
got to
yes.
get out of here. I can't stand it anymore. This place reminds me of Brigham, whatever. It's like, no, I think it's different. I actually do think I'm being called. It's like the next chapter, but I want to make sure, like, so I don't
Yeah, yeah,
have these other perspectives. And it was real. So I can confirm that it was really good for me to have people tell me that, like, over and
yeah.
over. And nobody, I haven't had anybody tell me not go, which is kind of surprising. You think, but maybe it's just because the people I hang out with. But everybody's been really excited. I mean, and in a way, it's been really confirming too because they feel I can handle it. Like, you know what I mean? I'm getting the confirmation back from people who know me of like, this is actually something you could probably do. Like, and
Well,
not die. Like,
I feel it's I think that that's actually super key, that piece, because it's like, again, I mean, I also, like, I have a big anniversary coming up this month, so obviously I'm thinking a lot about the dude I'm hanging out with, but like, similar of like, the people that really knew me were like, oh my gosh, yes. And like other boyfriends are like, what are you doing? Like
yeah.
that, but anyway, and it is, but like that, I've thought a lot about how we hold each other.
Mm-hmm.
And like when I was sick, I was like, I don't necessarily believe in chemo, but all the people that really love me do.
Mm,
And I consciously chose to do chemo, not because I thought it was my best option necessarily,
mm-hmm.
but because I felt like that the people I needed to believe that I would get better would not be able to believe I was going to get better if I didn't do it.
Oh, that's fascinating. Yeah, there's a great, powerful example of that right there. Yeah. Of like something that you went to other people and were like, and they're like, yeah, do it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because they love you.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
totally.
Yeah.
And I did get better. I don't know. I mean, not back to like, survival is not the success. I mean,
Yeah.
whatever. But
Yeah.
like, I do feel like them believing that I would get better
Yeah.
was part of the magic that made me better, as much
Yeah.
as the weird, bags of chemo that I was putting Sharpie blessings on.
Yep. Yeah. I mean, really, I mean, that's such a great example because at that point, when you're in that state, and I've never been there, so I'm just imagining, but like at any point when you're in a state where it is like, yes, use your own tuition. So like we go back to number 3 and it's like, have I experiencing all the serendipity and the synchronicities? Is my body telling me this? But I do think this is important to have that other check in there, like, and check with the people who love you, who really
Yeah.
love you, because
Yes.
we got to check ourselves. You know what I mean? Because we don't, because of all the things that can go on in our bodies and all the chemical things that are happening in our bodies and how, in any which way our brains can go. It's just, that's another sign of community, how important community is. We're not in this together, right? I mean, we're not in this separately. We're in this
Yes.
together. So it is a healthy thing to have people to check in with people about like, I'm going to make a big decision here. What do you think? Like, you tell me what you think. This
I
is
mean,
going to,
that's think about all the rituals that we like we have less of, right? But like I just like this is graduation weekend for the high school here, and they have this whole ritual where they go to visit all the schools, the little kids, and then they walk downtown, and like people write their names on all the windows in
oh,
downtown
cute.
Astoria. And so like when I was downtown today, it's like here comes the graduates in their gowns. I mean, their actual ceremonies on Saturday, but like and people are like yelling and like, like it's just
Aw.
this like great ritual of having all these people say, "We love you, we believe in you."
Yeah,
And you're like,
yeah.
weddings can be like that. I mean, in essence, what are funerals? But like we
Yes.
still have love. We love each other. We love this
Yes.
person. Like like it's like the society pretends like we should just be all by ourselves, but that's just such
Right.
a con.
It is. It is. It's
Such
not
a
even, it's not
con.
healthy even, you know? And like I'm going to journey by myself, right? But like,
But you're being surrounded by all of
right.
this
Yes.
love that's
But
gonna
the
be,
exactly. But that process of checking in with people and talking to them and having rituals to send me off and all, it's so important. You know, it's so important to like gather that bag of energetically, you know, that connection and support, and also confirmation of your own courage and confirmation that
yes,
you know what you're
yes,
doing and you're strong enough to do it. And you know, all of these people be it's better than just me telling myself that, because we
yes,
can delude
yes,
ourselves. Let's face it, we can our, you know,
yes,
our own brains can be delusional. It's really good to like have the confirmation of like, well, you know, Iris said I could do it, and you know, especially when things get hard, like
yes,
there's
yes.
these people like they said I could do it. They, you know, they celebrated it. So yeah, I think that number five is like really great because it brings it back into community, but also just to be clear, like not to be looking to the culture for the yes, because that's often an, you know, you're not going to get it there. It's like
Right.
the culture itself may be like, whoa, what are you doing? Like, that's crazy. You
And
know?
it's, yeah, it's not an alignment. The culture is not in alignment to
Yeah,
living an authentic life.
yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
but it's not support. Like just take like one look. Like if we don't have paid family leave for brand new babies.
Right.
So why would I trust anything that comes out of that society? Like, I
Yeah,
mean, seriously,
yeah,
like there, like that is in like mentally crazy.
yeah.
So
I
like,
mean, it is. It's mentally crazy, and you also have to, when you're forging a new path in a culture that's kind of crumbling. I mean, we're in like the fall right now of a lot of these structures. You really you're kind of like, you know, energetically kind of dodging crumbling structures as you go, like weave your own path forward. And like, I really like what you said. It's like it is this almost like signal flare of hope that you just go and do, you know, create a new path, because we need to, like, we need new
yeah.
paths of people having imagination and doing the thing that they feel in their heart. I guess that's why I wanted to bring it to this podcast, because I think it's the work of the time. Like we are in this
Yeah.
weird moment of things falling apart that we've thought of were so stable and the culture told us was such the way to go, and you know, made this is what you do, and we're seeing it just being ripped apart. And I guess if there's an opportunity in that, it's that, you know, that our hearts now have this like permission in a way, like anything is possible. Like and it's also, we need to now create something new, because we can't go home. Like we can't turn back to like the culture and be like, oh, this is safe. That safety is rapidly diminished. You know, it's rapidly eroding.
So
And so it's like, where do we create safety? How do we know what we're doing as we move forward into these new imaginal spaces that we have to create as people with our communities? And I like this list of questions. I actually think it's a really good guidepost
yeah.
to ask yourself, because it's really, these aren't cultural questions, these are internal checks. And I'm going to say from my experience that when I heard her read them off, I was like, oh, check, check, check. So I feel good. Like, again, it's just another way to make you feel confident. Like that is a great little list to go through.
Well, and I think that that thing of like feeling in alignment with yourself,
Mm-hmm.
I feel like is our place of greatest capacity for impact,
Yeah.
like I mean, we've talked about this, but like, waiting tables and the like when you show up to work and you're just kind of having an off day, like it's just like a disaster. And and when you're like kind of in that centered place, it's like it's talk about time being just like, I mean,
Yeah. There it is again.
tables is a total time bender. And so like, and when you're just like this, like
Yeah.
like everybody's got a smile on their face and like
That's
versus
flow.
like,
Yeah.
that's that
Yeah.
that thing. Yeah.
Yeah, it is. I mean, like it's true that you're just experiencing that another way. We all have felt that when we hit those times when we feel good. And I think that party, I'll go back to my party, but
Yeah,
like
yeah, yeah.
everybody
The
was
party
feeling like
was
so
fantastic.
good at that party. It was like all these different people from different parts of my life, really. But everybody, because we had done a
And even
sauna and
those
then a
like the
sound
two
bath,
dudes, those two dudes on
we
the
had
bridge
dudes.
fishing,
Yeah,
like the bike bums. I don't know if they
yeah.
really were bike bums, but like,
They were our neighbors.
oh,
But yeah, they
oh.
were neighbors, and I think they were having a Memorial Day party barbecue or something too. And they heard the DJ, and they just kept riding their bikes back. They couldn't help. Like they were like, "What are
They
these
were
hippies
like
doing?"
met,
Oh
like,
yeah,
yeah,
they
it's very
really wanted to.
magnetic.
They wanted to come down so bad. I was like, I kept waving them down. I'm like, "Come on!" And they were scared. They had 10% fear of the unknown. They saw all the sound bowls and all the people. They're like,
Like just laying there, like we just drank Kool,
yeah,
healing over.
it was
So,
so good, so good.
did so this month the kid, the Sitka lesson was about music, and they were just like drawing to like this composer Thomas Menson um, composed. Sitka commissioned him to compose these characters, and then the children listened to these little short clips, and then they kind of created these characters and they drew these scenes. It was
Oh, cool.
really gorgeous. It was really a great. It was a great lesson. Um, but part of like with like they when I was talking to them about music, and like somehow early on somehow something, and I'm like, well, the world is musical, right? Like the
Yeah,
world around us, we come into this world, and I'm like, and everything about us is rhythmic, and they're all like, like, and I'm like, and whatever, there was some kid that was like super skeptical. So then I started having them take their own pulse, and
yeah,
they're young enough that many of them had never done that, like
yeah.
most of
Cool.
them, especially like third grade, like they might be one kid that ever felt their own pulse.
Mm,
And so like some of the older kids a little bit more, but like, and I'm like, feel that. Like you are inherently rhythmic, It
yeah,
it makes sense. It lights up our brain, like, and like so we light each other up too. Like part music, why how does music light us up? It's like if you've ever been, and you know this because you're actually a musician, but like when the crowd, the energetics between the performer and the people that are there, or the
yeah,
people singing together, like whatever that is, that's like a very visceral experience of the same thing of going to your elders and they're like, here, this is it. Ha.
yeah, yeah. It's synchronicity, like in real time. Like you are actually
Yes.
syncing to a beat, to a rhythm together. So you're creating like this synchronous moment together. It's very powerful and ancient. I mean, it's got to go, I mean, way back to the origins of our species, like banging on stuff, banging sticks together, chanting, drum, like the drum at the being one of the first instruments in almost every culture on the whole planet.
When
Just
you play drums in a group, because I've never done that, like, but when you're experiencing that, like is it like I had a roommate that was a translator,
mm,
and she said like when you do simultaneous translation, you're not even, it's
yeah,
like you can't think about it. You just
yeah.
have to like be open to it and it happens.
Yeah, I think all
You know?
music's like that. I think when you're playing, you have to there's a part of you that has to be moving. It's just like that cool flow state, right? Like you have to get to a point where your brain is comfortable enough with emotions and your body knows what to do, that your brain can just kind of like turn off and the body takes over.
So
And it's
it's
just
like,
like, yeah, you're just in it. And if you stop and start thinking, what am I doing? You immediately lose it. Like you can't hold the thought because it's moving so fast at that point that your brain doesn't have the capacity to be like, move hand, move hand, move hand. It's just like,
right.
it's just happening. And it's a really cool feeling. I mean, and then when you have multiple people doing it at the same time, then you have this kind of like everyone's in flow state together, and then your flow states have to be listening to each other to lock. So yeah, I mean, it's
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 like a
really
murmuration of
it,
starlings.
it is it's really cool. And so you're if it's good, And when it's good, it's so good. Like this, I have studied West African music, which is the most kind of complicated polyrhythmic stuff, and I love it because it's just like what it does to your brain is so fun. It's so complex. There's so many things happening. It's just like, oh, I know it's like drugs. You're just like, this is crazy. Like you just go to this, like talk about time disappearing, and you drum for 3 hours and like never, it feels like 5 minutes. I mean, when you're in that state. So it's really a meditation state. It's like whatever that state of, alpha,
Yeah.
beta, theta. Maybe it's theta. It's just like, you're cognizant of everything, but you're not thinking, like not in that way that your left brain's off. Like your right brain is like it's all beat rhythm, timing, I guess, but it's so cool.
I mean,
So
I
fun.
feel like it does feel like, like a school of fish or like birds, like if it was all about neurons, they would run into each other.
Yeah, there's no way, right? There's just
And so
instinct.
like whatever that is, we can do it too. And that's
Yeah.
when it happens, is
Yeah, it's
when
like a tip of a wing, and then all of them are like, "Oof," it's like they're feeling probably current wind, like they're just responding to actual like the way the wind is hitting their body or the sound of it, or I mean, who knows? But it's so neat. I mean, then you add dancers, so
yes,
then you
yes.
have dancers responding with their physical like forms, and if they start singing, then you have that layer. So when you get into like almost every indigenous place on the planet, this is our history, this is our roots, and it's beautiful. We should do a whole podcast on just music because it's
Ah,
so powerful. But I really did get a dose of that at this party. I think it's cool that we're bringing this up on as I talk about my journey because I do feel like this is connected to my path. I'm not sure how, but sound, music,
mhm.
frequency, this is all very interesting to me. And I think even in terms of me going to visit these chakras, energies, I do think it has something to do with frequency. Like there's something about these places that are generating like a certain vibration, pulse, rhythm.
Yes.
It's not just like, I don't know, maybe that's how the earth speaks to us in a way, like there's animals respond to it, birds migrate to it. Like there's all, I mean, the earth is, what is the earth doing if not, you know, vibrating as a rhythm that we respond
Yes.
to. We lay on the earth, we respond to it. We don't know how. Our bodies know it calms us down, it grounds us. We know if we put our bare feet on it, it's like that's like an actual magnetic pulse that the earth is doing that we can feel. So there is something about that. And if this is going to be one more synchronicity, I'll add to my little bag that we started talking about this right at the end of my about
Okay.
journey, the journey, that this was tagged onto it because it came up. But I think it's really, it fascinates me. And it always has. It's been really, I mean, ever since I started drumming, it's been really fascinating to me.
So we had a Indigo Fest. I will just put a little plug out
That's
that
right.
still some tickets. But we had a prep day where my and Constance goes to Peace First Lutheran Church in Astoria, which anyway, um, and because my studio is a disaster. It's supposed to be at my house, and I'm like, I can't do it. And so like, and she's like, and I'm like, I'm gonna see if I can rent Shively Hall. And she's like, no, we can just do it at my church. And the thing that was great about going there was that I was like, oh my God, this beautiful, it's totally taken care of by the congregation. They're really active in like tons of ways. They have a big, huge community garden there that they support, and people pay $10 and they water and like, and they're super anyway, they're politically active. Like it's a very but I was like in this building that was built, almost, like 85 years ago. And I was
Mm-hmm.
like, you know what? This was just built by the people together. And it just made me feel so hopeful because it's like
Mm-hmm.
this was representing decades of effort of people working together outside of, like it wasn't like a government. It's not like going to, inside the the beautiful post office or whatever, like something
Mm-hmm.
else that's like, it's like, and I was like, okay, because this is about figuring out how we can build, right? And but
Mm-hmm.
going to these sacred sites, they all have these crazy amounts of effort that happened, like
Yep.
usually thousands of years ago. Like I just saw
Yep.
this thing that they figured out that the big stone in the middle of Stonehenge was brought from frickin' Scotland.
Oh wow. Yeah.
Like it's
Talk
like
about effort.
or
Yeah.
like Machu Picchu, like they're not just like rocks
Yeah.
from in situ. They like brought stuff like
Yeah.
a big ways in like
Yeah.
crazy terrain. And so
Mm-hmm.
it's the same sort of thing of like feeling into what happens when people sync up and are like, we got this vision,
Yeah.
we got this thing that we want to do. It matters. We're gonna
Mm.
do this thing together. And
Yeah.
it's like if you look suddenly, like I don't know, like that just happened this week. And it's like, and now I'm like, I'm like looking around at all these ways that we have built things together in such
Mm.
beautiful ways.
Yeah.
And I instead of like like you were saying at the last podcast of like only focusing on what's effed up.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yeah, I think it's really powerful. And what came through when you just said that was like, what have we been missing for the last, I don't know, 1,000 years or so? Like when with this myth of individuality, like, what power did those cultures have when, just because if we could just imagine like one drum circle being very powerful and dancing with it and singing, you know what I mean? Like, and then you've imagined that in terms of like multiple circles of energy, created by these indigenous cultures who knew how to work with that, who
Yes,
you knew how
yes.
to use it,
It's like acupuncture.
Yeah, it's like acupuncture. That's exact that. So it was also really cool that we did acupuncture at that party too, because that also feels like whatever this earth chakra stuff is, part of what I'm doing is there's some kind of acupuncture points, right, on the earth. Like there's like these powerful places that can be activated. Um, I don't know. I'll report back. I'm going to Shasta next. So I'll be there for the summer solstice. So we might have a podcast before
Oh,
that. We
and
might
that
wait
just
till
as you said that, shoo, uh,
oh
little yellow warbler just went right past
yeah.
the window.
I know. I feel like the magic is starting. Well, it's always been going. But yeah, so I guess I'm just really fascinated by this completely new approach to life I'm entering. It's really different. It's the path is the way, the wanderer, like, it's just exchanging wonder for certainty, is another way to look at it. Like I'm not certain of anything, but I'm in complete like state of kind of like wonder about what's gonna happen, wonder where I'm going next. What in a good way. Like
Yeah.
it's just like I can just marvel at it all. Um
And
and
it's oh sorry.
oh no, and as I say that as I sit in my very comfortable home with all my stuff still. So I haven't actually, entered the chamber of really doing it yet, but it's
Well,
settling in.
but just think about like, I mean, we talked about this before, like when you look at like Lord of the Rings, right? Like you've got your thing and it's, like I don't know if you're Frodo or whatever, but like hopefully not Frodo. He has such a hard
Going
time.
to Mordor.
Yeah, you're not going to Mordor, but like just that like we like I think it's really this is this like beautiful balance of like individual listen to my body says do this, right?
Mhm,
But also inclusive of here is how you are held by the love of the relationships that you have nurtured.
mm,
It's both. It's like a total both and.
yeah,
It's like you are doing something radically different than what I'm doing for the next, whatever time. Like I'm in
yeah.
a totally different place, but it's like it's I don't know. I'm just
No, I get it. Like, and in many ways, you guys are the roots. Like, you're my roots back into, the how to make sense of it all. Like, when I'm coming back, I'm doing all this. It's going to be a wild experience, I'm sure. And like, so coming to talk to you will be so good because you'll be like, okay, but let's grab like here I am. So let's root this into like, I don't know, some place. It feels very like I don't good. It feels loving and like, the rootedness I have through all my friends and connections here feel really, really important. Um, and I know I can come back too. That's always my little fail safe. Like when I tell my scared little child, 10% fear of me, who's 10% terrified, is like, but I'm like, hey man, you just get on a plane and go home if you want to. But that's just like my little voice that has to be there, like that comforting, that if you have a scared child with you, which I think everybody has that little scared child within them who just wants to know what's going on. And like 90% of me is like, we don't know what's going on. And that's awesome. But like 10% of me is like, that sounds scary. And for that
yeah.
part, I have to have like the adult part of me has to say, hey man, like I'll take you home. If you're that scared, you we'll go home. Don't worry. Like we got you. But let's just go see what happens and see how you feel. Yeah.
We went to Ireland. This is in 1996 on our big bike thing, and I anyway, we we I think we talked about this. Like we got a map at Powell's like 9 o'clock at night the night before we flew, and we were like,
Awesome.
okay. Then we got off the plane, we got our bikes, we put them together, and we're like, all right, kind of like north, south, like which way should we go? And we just like picked a direction.
Nice. Nice. Yeah, pretty
It was
much.
actually freaking fantastic.
Right? It's fun. Like I know there's something about that. It's like, I don't know, like pretty much wherever you want to go. It's
Yeah,
kind
like
of fun.
somebody described it as floating on chance.
Yeah. And there's some magic. There's definitely magic there, right? Like I know not everybody can do that in life. So I also feel like really privileged that for my even generational line of women, like who was ever able to do this? Like what they were all working, they all had babies, they all had, you know what I mean? Like there's no women just being like, cool, I got a backpack and a passport, peace out. Like nobody was able to do that, even if they wanted to, even if that was a dream. So I feel like I'm also doing it for a lot of my ancestral line. I'm like, I'm at a place where I can do it. Like, why
And
not?
also like to be going out as someone from the United States during this time and going into the world as someone going with nurture culture as your
Yeah.
kind of guiding principle. I feel like think we need that so much, right? Because it's like all the
Yeah.
lip flapping is from the crazy.
Yeah, especially going to South America too, because I am being called there. And I think I don't know anything about South America. It's really interesting. Like, of course, we haven't been taught anything in this culture about it. So it's easy for them to tell us all kinds of lies about it because we
Yeah.
don't know anything. It's just complete blank ignorant slate. I'm just like, oh, I know a little bit, but moving through the space, like moving through those actual countries will be so interesting. And I'm really excited just to be like, oh, putting all those pieces together in my mind because that's how I learn. I mean, I learn so much when I travel. Um, and also just, yeah, just being really like, I'm not kind of going with this complete openness. Like, I don't know anything. Like, I'm just trying to figure out who I am, so I'm just really grateful to be here. Like, I don't have any agenda of, this is how, I live and this is how you live. It's more like, cool. Like, let's see it all. And, I'm really more just interested in the journey itself.
So exciting. Oh my God. I totally love you.
I love you too. And I will talk to you again. I think we're gonna podcast again before I leave. So to
Yes.
Shasta anyway. And then hopefully that'll be a big download to come back with.
I'm putting
Um,
an art show up while you're at Shasta.
Perfect. I will tune into that. But until then, yeah, big full moon next Thursday. So next week, next Wednesday.
Nice.
Full moon in Sagittarius. And all the astrology this month is so blessed. It's so good. Venus moves into Taurus, Jupiter moves into Cancer. These are all like exalted energies for these signs. So like after a very rough, I think start to
Yeah.
there, all of them were doing some really heavy stuff, heavy lifting. June is like finally like some of these planets are like exactly in the signs they love to be in. And it just feels like everyone's gonna feel this kind of like hopefully great vibe for June. So my blessings to everybody out there listening that this is a good month for like feeling good, feeling the
And
love and peace and joy and like understand connections being made and loving your home space or loving like your backpack or whatever you're doing, but like start to feel like the fun and joy kind of percolating in because
and
this
and just like and I feel like part of that is really committing to what you love and
mm,
realizing it's like I do feel like how do we shift, how do we address what is? And the way that we address what is, I think the answer is to reconfirm what we value and what we love. And it's like,
yeah,
it's like I'm right. It's like, yeah. And it's like
yeah,
that what was okay. I invite the highest and the best, and I reject
mm,
the rest with love so that it
mm,
may seek its own peace and fulfillment.
Mm, that's
Was
beautiful.
and that was from years and years ago from someone like as like kind of like a like being open, but also like I'm absolutely not open to the energies
Mm,
I'm like I'm only inviting in the highest and the best. And it's
mhm.
like and not like the rejection with love to that which is not
Yeah,
serve
yeah.
that highest and best. And I feel like that it's just really there the darkness there I feel like it's a real like there's a tension in surrendering to doing this kind of stuff and I
Mhm.
just feel like yeah.
I mean, we just laid it out. Here's our list, right? We got our 5 points. This is what the heart, this is the message of the heart, because the brain is going to tell you all those stories, right? Like that's where the tension is. Oh, you're supposed to do this, supposed to do this. Like this is how you're supposed to react. Blah, blah, blah. The heart is speaking now. And so, like, that's the new path. That's the path forward. We can't think our way out of this one. I'm sorry to say. This is
Yeah.
going to be
Yeah.
heart work. It's a new space. It's like a new imaginarium. Like we've got to go to places we haven't been before as humans to fix this. This is not going to be, and
Yes.
nothing we've been given so far has really worked. This is going to be us stepping into our heart path. And on that path will unfold the solutions that we all bring. I think that's the only way forward at this point. So um, I keep going to the Fool card because that seems to be the tarot
Oh, nice.
card
Yeah, yeah,
that
yeah.
really embodies what I'm doing right now, like the little
Yes.
knapsack and just like stepping off a cliff, and also just kind of like I don't know, it just feels like the Fool card is a really great card right now. Just it's all these planets are going into brand new signs, 0 degrees Aries, like this whole fresh start energy is happening. So
Yes.
tap into that and listen, yeah, just
Oh,
listen to your heart.
thank
Okay,
you.
I love you.
I love you.